What's up, guys? Welcome to Promotech. Thanks for tuning in. The Pixel 11 Pro XL leaks don't look revolutionary at first. Same camera bar, familiar design, familiar pixel language. But the deeper you go into these leaks, the more it feels like Google is preparing one of the strangest long-term shifts we've seen in smartphones. Tiny hardware decisions, subtle software behavior, and one unexpected replacement feature could completely change how people interact with their phones every single day. Let's dive right into the video because this honestly feels bigger than a normal Pixel upgrade cycle. For the last few years, Google kept trying to convince people that AI should live inside the screen. Smarter photos, smarter typing, smarter voice features. But with the Pixel 11 lineup, it suddenly feels like Google wants the phone to communicate without demanding attention all the time. And the first clue is the removal of the thermometer sensor. Remember how heavily Google marketed that feature? Body temperature scanning, health integration, all of that. Companies usually don't abandon hardware that quickly unless something more important is taking its place. And according to these leaks, that replacement is called Pixel Glow. Now, this is where things get interesting. Instead of copying the nothing phone aesthetic directly, Google appears to be building a much more subtle RGB mini LED system directly into the camera bar itself. Not flashy gaming LEDs. Not over-the-top animations. More like ambient intelligence. Soft colors, tiny pulses, notification awareness, charging indicators, priority alerts, maybe even Gemini-related behavior later on. And honestly, this explains the leaked software phrase perfectly. Stay in the moment without losing touch. That sentence tells you Google's entire direction. Less screen addiction, less constant checking, more passive awareness. Samsung's ecosystem wants your attention. Apple's ecosystem wants your loyalty. Google now seems to want your habits. That's a completely different philosophy. And suddenly the Pixel camera bar makes way more sense. For years, it looked like a design choice, searching for purpose. Now it becomes functional identity. Triple cameras on one side, flash in the middle, Pixel Glow integrated beside it. The entire back of the phone becomes interactive without turning into a gimmick. The crazy part is this could quietly become one of those features people laugh at during launch week. Then every other company copies 2 years later. But honestly, the bigger story is probably hidden underneath the phone. Tensor G6 on TSMC's 2nm process could finally solve the one issue that has followed Pixels for generations: efficiency. Because let's be real for a second. Pixel users defended overheating for way too long. Weak battery endurance, inconsistent modem performance, random thermal drops during video recording. These things stopped Pixel from feeling truly premium, even when the software experience was excellent. Now Google switching toward the MediaTek M90 modem feels less like experimentation and more like survival. It almost feels like Google internally realized they could no longer afford another generation of great camera, questionable hardware consistency. And if this leak is accurate, the Pixel 11 Pro might end up being the first Pixel where people stop making excuses for the chipset. What's also fascinating is how Google is separating the regular Pixel 11 from the Pro lineup this year. The standard Pixel 11 still gets the Tensor G6, still gets a compact 6.3-inch display, still gets enough RAM for most people. So now Google has a new problem. How do you justify the Pro branding without relying only on specs? And that's exactly why features like Pixel Glow matter. Because modern flagship competition is no longer just hardware versus hardware. It's emotional behavior versus emotional behavior. Apple mastered this with ecosystem continuity. Samsung mastered it with customization and polish. Google is now trying to master presence, making the phone feel alive around you instead of only useful when unlocked. Quick side note, this video is sponsored by Walverse, and honestly, it connects perfectly with this entire conversation. One thing I've noticed lately is that modern tech feels increasingly fragmented. Different devices, scattered files, random notes everywhere. Walverse simplifies that chaos in a surprisingly clean way. Cross-device organization, quick sharing, synced workflows. It feels designed for people deep in tech ecosystems without becoming bloated or distracting. Definitely worth checking out. Now here's the part nobody's talking about yet. If Pixel Glow succeeds, this probably doesn't stop at notifications. Think about future Gemini integration, context-aware lighting, AI-generated behavior patterns, silent visual communication between your phone and your environment. That sounds futuristic right now, but honestly, 5 years ago people thought dynamic islands sounded unnecessary too. And the scary part for Samsung and Apple is that Google has something neither company fully owns yet. AI behavior tied directly into Android itself. If they combine ambient hardware with smarter on-device AI before competitors react properly, the Pixel line could suddenly become far more influential than its market share suggests. By the way, if you're still watching right now, you're part of the core audience this channel is built around. More than 70% of viewers watching these videos still aren't subscribed, and this community genuinely cares about the details beneath the marketing headlines. So if you enjoy these deeper breakdowns instead of recycled spec sheets, definitely subscribe and join the community. Because honestly, the Pixel 11 Pro XL may end up being remembered less for what changed physically, and more for the moment Google quietly changed what a smartphone is supposed to feel like. Take care and stay safe. I'll see you in the next one soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.